What's up, guys? I've been getting a couple different questions about the Loeb Trail, and I think one of the questions everyone always asks is there bears out there? Well, you know, you got to think the trail's really long, so it covers a lot of different types of forests and stuff. Or, like you got like the balls, which there's not really a whole lot up there, and then you've got the south end that's pretty thick forest and stuff. And I mean, oddly enough, I've never encountered a bear on that side of the park, and I've I've had like dogs come through camp that were like with hunting tracking collars and stuff during bear season. Excuse me, but I've never seen one over there. I always hang a bear bag. I go to REI or something to get the bear spray, and I've never had to use like bear spray or any sort of like force towards any animals in the park. And there's actually a really, really low chance you'll see one in Pisgah. They mostly stay towards like the North Mills River area, South Mills River area, where there's kind of a lot more forage opportunities for them. Over on the northwest side of the park, there's really not a whole lot, and I've camped out on the Balds quite a few times where, I've not had an opportunity to hang a bear bag, and never really had a problem, but most of those were winter trips and stuff like that and things. And another question I get is, what's the steepest or what's the hardest section? And I think that for me, the hardest section would have to be from the Davidson River campground up until you get to what's it, Chestnut Knob, I believe. It's probably like 4 or 5 miles in, and it's a lot of climbing through there. And then once you're up on Chestnut Knob, that's kind of the first high point. And I don't know, I think it's maybe close to 2,000, maybe 2,200 feet in elevation change during that stretch. Most of it's right at the beginning, from the valley at Davidson River up to the first kind of ridge sort of gap area. And I actually think another really steep section would have to be Pilot Mountain. When you hit Pilot Mountain, you're going to be going up switchbacks for, it seems like forever, really, but it's, I don't know, maybe 15, 18 minutes going up one side and down, and then same distance going down the other. And, a lot of people, they kind of ruin it because they cut through the switchbacks and make, like, sort of like quick, like, runs that, they'll throw you off. And, that's a good way to get hurt, especially if it's, like an odd weather, with snow or ice or something, or if it's really muddy. Like, I don't recommend, trying to cut the corner on switchbacks. And, let's see, there was one more question. Oh, yeah, people were asking me, is climbing Cold Mountain a difficult hike, and is it worth climbing Cold Mountain? And there's one thing I'd have to say about that is it's definitely worth climbing Cold Mountain. My thought is, if I'm going to go past Ivester Gap, I'm going to go past Ivester Gap to climb Cold Mountain. Like, I'm not going, I usually park at the Big East Fork trailhead. And so if I'm going past Ivester Gap, it's going to be to spend my third night out there and climb Cold Mountain. And if there's no campsites there, I can camp at Deep Gap. But I've actually had someone ask me, what's the water source like up there? I've actually had more reliability going like further down the Art Lobe. Once you go through Deep Gap, where it kind of cuts back towards the Daniel Boone Scout Camp, I go down that way, and there's a little like kind of like a spring type of spot like 100 yards down the trail. And I've been up on Cold Mountain before, and there wasn't water, and especially during the winter time, because that little spot I like going to, you can actually break up the ice and get to it, or you can, you know, build kind of like a rock dam in the wintertime and then come back the next morning and it'll have filled up, maybe a little ice on top, but you can still filter out of it. And it's just the water pipe up Cold Mountain. I've gotten up there before, and there had been a bunch of ice, but there wasn't really a place where the water pooled up, because it's literally like right, on the side of the trail, and then it kind of just flows out. It's weird. I should probably take a picture of it next time and show it. But if you have any more questions about Art Loeb or any of the hiking trails in that area, feel free to comment below. Thanks.